From Yao Ming dominating the NBA every year when he was fit, to Brandon Roy's absolutely exceptional start to his NBA career, injuries are responsible for ruining some special careers. And every time I talk about NBA careers being destroyed by injuries, I can't help but recall how good Penny Hardaway was. Honestly, it's a shame, but as the third pick straight out of Memphis Tiger, Penny Hardaway was supposed to take the NBA by storm in the 90s. He was simply the most versatile player with so much talent and great plug-and-play abilities. Unfortunately, after a promising start to his career in the NBA, Hardaway would injure his ACL. And as you guys know, even now, 30 years later, ACL is still considered one of the most dangerous injuries in sports. But back in the 90s, it was considered a career killer. In fact, back then, many wouldn't even return from it. And the same was the case with Penny. Even though he still returned, he was never quite the same. This makes you think, what if? Talking about what ifs in terms of NBA injuries though, allow me to take you back to the 1974 number 1 pick, Bill Walton. Drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers, Walton stood at a massive 7 feet and was a rebounding machine. After leading his team to a title after only 3 years in the NBA and winning the MVP, the narrative that surrounded Walton was just how much greatness can he achieve? But injuries struck him down almost immediately after the title-winning season. For over half a decade, Walton wouldn't be able to recover completely from that setback. And despite being limited due to his foot, which had cost him his career, Walton actually played another sensational season in 1986 to help the Boston Celtics win the lot. But by 34, he was done at the highest level. And just take a minute to think about this one. I've added someone who's won 2 NBA titles, and it's still a question of what could have been. However, you'd be forgiven for thinking that only on-court injuries end careers, but some off-court incidents can also destroy careers, as was the case with Jay Williams, who got into a massive motorcycle incident just 1 year into his NBA career. That was already in violation of his contract with the Chicago Bulls, and the franchise was forced to waive him. Williams severed a nerve in his leg, and the injury was a bit too serious. All the promise that he was carrying from his time at Duke went out of the window, and the high expectations amounted to nothing. Jay's often seen on ESPN as an analyst these days, after failing to revive his career in the NBA, even though he made multiple tries. Big shame, because the media was raving about his talent before he joined the Bulls. And you can pretty much say the same about the next entry on the list, Amar'e Stoudemire, who, to be fair, actually showcased his brilliance in the NBA during his first season with the Suns. An extremely athletic and outstanding power forward, Stoudemire and Steve Nash formed a formidable partnership. They were actually one of the greatest teams to not win a title, losing to the Spurs in the conference finals. Stoudemire was averaging a monster 37 PPG in the 5 games over the series. But that was that. A knee injury forced him to undergo surgery, and he'd miss the entire next season. That was followed by a poke in the right eye by a teammate, Boris Diaw, which tore his iris partially. And with a number of back and knee injuries kicking in, Amar'e lost his athleticism and the X factor which made him so special. Heartbreaking. But he's not the only former Phoenix player to suffer the same fate, as Grant Hill was another very promising superstar who took the NBA by storm, winning the Rookie of the Year. His averages were superb at 21.4 PPG, 9 RPG, and 7.3 APG, and he made it to the All-NBA team too. Hill was recruited by the Magic as they paired him alongside Tracy McGrady, but Orlando's plans were destroyed because of chronic ankle issues. Grant's promising career would fizzle out in the shape of of fewer than 50 performances in a 4-year span, as he ended up finishing his career as a journeyman, playing for the Suns and the Clippers. A sad, sad look at his career, who was touted by many to become one of the greatest players of his generation. And I say the same about the next entry on the list, Brandon Roy, the star who was expected to carry the torch on from Kobe Bryant. With Roy, it's just so unfortunate because his struggles with injuries began back in his college days. Carrying knee injuries, Roy still arrived with immense promise in the NBA, and his explosiveness won him the Rookie of the Year in the 2006-07 season. 3 consecutive All-Star games and 2 All-NBA selections later, Roy missed the entire 2010-11 season after having surgery on both knees. I don't need to tell you how this plays out, right? Brandon was forced into early retirement after only 6 years due to degenerative knee conditions, and it was absolutely heartbreaking to witness the demise of what could have been a spectacular career. But if the common theme is promise and success in the NBA, then how can you possibly ignore the impact made by Yao Ming during his extremely short stay in the NBA? Straight out of China, the #1 pick, Ming, would go on to make the All-Star game every season he played in the NBA. Yes, a lot of that was due to the immense support he got in the voting from China, but he also would make the All-NBA team on 5 occasions, which is very impressive for someone whose career came to a close at 30. The 7'6" center was a freak of nature and was a proper spectacle, with people paying top dollar to watch him in action. A shot-blocking curiosity, Yao actually had a lot of vision and was a great high-post weapon with excellent touch. Not to mention, he could actually shoot the rock too, which made him the complete NBA player. Yet again though, injuries struck him down, with foot, back, and knee injuries plaguing all the promise. Ming would never play more than 57 games in a season after 2005. Jeff Van Gundy summed up his brilliance by saying that outside of Shaq, no one was better than Ming. Talking about 7-footers though, I can't help but include Greg Oden, the man who was chosen ahead of Kevin Durant. Many believe he was a draft bust, but think again, it wasn't his fault. Injuries just ruined him completely. He had everything he needed to make it at the NBA, and Oden's quality and potential were the reasons he went ahead in that gifted draft class. Unfortunately, as is the case with the rest of the video, Oden's injuries, which needed a microfracture surgery in his rookie season, a foot injury in the 2008-09 season, and many more, ended his career, with a total of 100-odd appearances over 6 seasons. Yet, it can't hold a candle to the final entry on this list, and the only currently active player too, Derrick Rose. An MVP winner in 2011 and a Rookie of the Year in 2009, Derrick Rose's career peaked in his early few seasons in the NBA. Averages of over 25 PPG, 7.7 assists, and over 4 rebounds meant that he was mentioned alongside Oscar Robertson, which is an impossible thing to do. Enter injuries. A torn ACL, a torn meniscus, and persistent ankle issues ended Rose's dominance of the NBA. And just like that, the youngest player ever to win the NBA's MVP was nothing more than a bench player. He's still around, of course, but Rose hasn't been able to showcase the ability which made him so special. That's all I had on the best NBA careers destroyed by injuries.